What's up, guys? Theo here. Welcome back to the It Factor. So right now, I'm just going to do a quick recap of UFC 296. Man, that was a crazy card. We had a lot of really great reads on the card. Couple sketchy reads, but you know what? It's nothing that I feel bad about. The early prelims, obviously, we aced. I successfully picked against Martin Buday. Jamil Gaziev ended up knocking him out fairly easily. Unfortunately, it wasn't something I like to see, but I'm glad that my pick was right. You get plus money on a Dagestani, you kind of have to take it. So there you go, man. I also hit the sub for Tagir Ulanbekov versus Cody Durden. I had a good feeling that Tagir would probably sub him. Tagir's got great submissions, great ground game, and Cody Durden just spent way too much time hanging out on the ground with Jake Hadley on the Nashville card, which I actually saw in person. So I figured Durden was due to get submitted by a competent grappler, and based on the fact that Tagir had, I think, submitted somebody in like the first 30 seconds, I thought that that was a pretty safe bet. Um, I mean, further on up the card, we did have a couple stumbles with the prelims, Alonzo, Menafield. I had a feeling that he would potentially upset because I think Jacoby was overrated at the time, but I did not pick him to. I thought Jacoby was going to win that. Arena Aldana ended up looking really good. Andre Feely ended up looking really good. I also had picked him against Lucas Almeida, who I didn't think was that good. Um, and yeah, man, ultimately, the prelims were pretty good for us. I also ended up hitting the sub on Lipsky. These aren't tracked bets that I made or anything. They're just predictions and small bets that I was making on DraftKings. I've long said Casey O'Neill was really overrated, and Ariane Lipsky I felt like was a good opportunity to fade her there. So that's what we ended up doing. I felt like Ariane Lipsky was live there to sub her, and ended up thinking she was going to TKO Casey O'Neill because Casey just looked absolutely god-awful on the feet. I mean, this chick has pillow fists. I know people were pushing her really hard to be like the next thing in women's MMA, but I didn't see any way that was going to happen, so I went ahead and bet against her, and ended up working out. I bet against her with Jennifer Maia last time as well, and she ended up upsetting me, so I mean, it's whatever. No hard feelings. Hopefully, Casey O'Neill can find somewhere she can do well in the future, but I just don't think she's UFC level at this point in time. Then on to the main card, man. Obviously, we started out with that absolutely disgusting upset of Bryce Mitchell by Josh Emmett. Guys, if you go back and look at the prediction video that I made about that for yesterday, I was obviously very confident that Bryce Mitchell was going to get that fight done and submit Josh Emmett. But I did say in that video, the only way that Josh Emmett is going to win that fight is if he knocks Bryce Mitchell out stiff, cold. And guys, that is exactly what happened. Josh did exactly what he needed to do, and he knocked Bryce Mitchell out. Very shocking. Obviously, Bryce Mitchell had a nasty reaction to the KO, and he ended up convulsing on the ground. I hope that he is able to recover from that well and hopefully go on to do better things in the UFC. We will see. I know a lot of people came out of the woodwork talking about, oh, Josh Emmett shouldn't have been that big of a favorite or an underdog against Bryce Mitchell. I don't really agree with that. I think the line was pretty accurate. I don't think many people expected Emmett to just come out and land a nuclear bomb on Bryce Mitchell right off the bat. I mean, that literally was his only path to victory, and he ended up doing it. So I don't know what Bryce Mitchell was thinking. He just didn't seem to have his guard up early on. I don't think he expected Emmett's power to come through like that, but it did. Interested to see what happens in the future with Josh Emmett. I don't know who he's going to fight next because this puts him in kind of a weird position where he's been beat by the people above him, and I don't think he's really capable of taking the belt, but I think he's good enough to probably beat most prospects. So I'm interested to see what's going to end up happening with Josh Emmett, but unfortunately that ended up killing a parlay that I had. I had Mitchell in a parlay with Shavkat and Patty. And, I knew based on some statistics and some information that I collect about cards and upsets, it was extremely obvious that we were not going to have all the favorites hit on the main card, just based on the fact that that already happened the last card, and those types of things very rarely repeat themselves in terms of the data. But I was thinking that Royval would be the more likely one to upset, or potentially even Colby. I did think Colby had a good shot of winning that fight, despite the fact that I did make tracked bets on Leon Edwards to win. I did not expect Mitchell to be the one that would blow the parlay. So, yeah, man, that sucked, but I don't regret that read and I don't regret that bet. It's just one of those things you can't predict somebody getting hit with a nuclear bomb like that. I mean, Josh Emmett hadn't knocked anyone out in a while before that. So, you know, on to the next man. Patty looked absolutely terrible against Tony Ferguson. I'm going to be dead honest. If that was any other fighter on earth other than Tony Ferguson, any other lightweight with any kind of like hype to their name, any kind of skill, at that level, you know what I'm saying? In lightweight, I think Patty would have gotten smoked, man. He looked like he did not train in all of his time off. He gassed after 2 rounds. He thought putting his hair in cornrows was going to help him somehow. It didn't. I don't think anybody... There's this like narrative going around that everyone thinks he's getting rocked because his hair is flying all over the place. You hear that a lot about other fighters that aren't just Patty. I don't believe in that, man. I think he's losing a big part of his character by not having his hair be funny. You know what I mean? Because that was kind of a big part of the draw of him and his look, and why he seemed so interesting was that he had that very interesting haircut. So we went and put it in cornrows, and man, it did not work. He looked terrible, man. It was honestly like he got worse than from when we saw him last, because, I mean, obviously he smoked Jordan Levitt, he smoked Kazula Vargas, he smoked Luigi Vendramini, didn't do well against Jared Gordon, but I mean, I expected him to bounce back and look a lot better against Tony Ferguson. I couldn't believe that fight ended up going to the distance. I thought Patty should have been able to finish him, but he just wrestled and held Tony down for 3 rounds and didn't really even do anything on the feet. I will not be betting Patty again, especially not like 4 units like what I had on him. I was sweating the entire time, and that was one of my most confident bets going into that card. So, yeah, we won't be betting on Patty again. If he gets matched up against someone like Benoit Saint Denis or Matt Frevola or something like that, he's going to have a very, very bad time. He's going to get knocked out cold because anyone else other than Tony Ferguson in there, man, any lightweight at that level, they would have destroyed him. So, God forbid Patty gets matched up against one of the Bosharat brothers or something like that. I mean, he'll be in big fucking trouble. Nicholas Dalby would fuck him up too, I think. I think that's an interesting fight they could make. But anyway, yeah, won't be betting Patty again. He looked absolutely awful. I don't know what the hell is going on. I don't know if he took time off because of the veneers he got. He got obviously a huge set of veneers just like Molly, and maybe that took some time off. But, man, gassing after 2 rounds like that against a guy who should have been there for the finish. He should have been able to sub Tony. I don't understand why he wasn't able to, so... Yeah, we just won't be betting on Patty again, man. That was not a great bet that I made. I had way too many units out on him, even though he did win. Yeah, just a bad bet on my part. I'm glad that cashed. Honestly, I would have felt better, even in retrospect, given that Mitchell lost and Patty won. I would have felt better putting those units on Bryce Mitchell, man, because Patty looked terrible. Yeah, Shavkat obviously ended up subbing Wonderboy. That's what I kind of foresaw happening there. I didn't think that Wonderboy was going to be able to knock him out, beat him on the feet like everyone else was saying. Guys, don't let anyone tell you that Wonderboy was outmatched. There were tons of people picking Wonderboy to win that fight. I know several professional gamblers that I trust a lot, and all of them were picking Wonderboy to win. Brandon Olivas picked Wonderboy to win. I couldn't believe that. I was like, what the hell are you talking about, dude? I think, again, everyone just gets obsessed trying to get these prospects that they know are not really, like, super high-level champion material. Like Shavkat, I'm not 100% sold on him being champion just yet, although he is very good. I knew he was going to smoke Wonderboy. I just couldn't believe people were betting on Wonderboy there. I don't know why. Wonderboy literally lost to Gilbert Burns a couple fights ago. So, I don't know. You tell me why people were betting on Wonderboy, but Shavkat looked awesome and ended up subbing him, man. Then on to Royval versus Pantoja. This was a fight where I had picked Royval honestly, for an upset based on the fact that a couple people I really trust also had Royval, and we had seen a trend where a lot of rematches had basically gone the other way. Although stylistically, I did think it was a really tough fight for Royval. I did think that he was the most likely one to upset on that main card. Unfortunately, he just wasn't able to, man. Pantoja just outclassed him every which way of the fight. I was still impressed with Royval's performance, man. He's still a great fighter, but I just think Pantoja has Royval's number here. So good for Alexander Pantoja. A well-deserved win, and hopefully we see more interesting things from Brandon Royval in the future. And then on to the main event, obviously the one that everybody was anticipating, the one that the whole fight card was built around, Edwards versus Covington. My tracked bets for this were correct. Leon Edwards did end up cashing. I had 3 units on Leon Edwards at minus 120. I thought that was a great price for him when I made those bets. I did think there was a possibility that Colby was going to come in and put together some wrestling and be able to make it a close decision, but Colby looked absolutely terrible in there, man. He just looked past his prime, and he couldn't get a single thing going on the feet. It just looked like he did not want to be there at all. It looked like he didn't even want to be in there boxing with him. He ended up holding Leon down for the last 30 seconds, minute of the fight. I don't know what that was supposed to do. There was no way he was gonna there was no way he was gonna get a judge's decision just holding Leon down for 1 minute out of a 5-round fight. So yeah, Leon styled on him, man. That prediction went through, and ultimately our track bets look pretty good now. So yeah, I think that in the future, I think that we could probably find a place where we can bet against Leon and Colby, because I don't think it was the best showing from Leon either. I just felt like there should have been more volume, more danger, although one of the reasons I did bet on Leon was because he's very risk averse, and I do like that about him. Personally, I just think both of Colby and him are a little overrated right now based on the performances that I saw last night. So yeah, man, if they end up giving us Colby against Shavkat or Shavkat against Leon, I'm going to end up having to pick against Leon or Colby, either one. I don't know, because I was not as impressed with that performance. But yeah, guys, check out the Bet MMA tips. We've got another bet in there already for Dricus du Plessis at plus money. I think he's going to have success against Sean Strickland. But that's a card for the future. I'm not going to make a video about it just yet because doing really early predictions, it doesn't seem like people are very interested in those videos. They don't watch them. So, yeah, man, that was a great card. I have a ton of really, really strong reads on next year's card. There is going to be a little bit of a break, but the first card of the year coming up, there's a lot of spots on that I really, really like. So I think we're going to have a lot of bets on that card too. Stay tuned, guys.